Fatima, let me bring you into this because during the primary between Clinton and Sanders, we heard from a lot of college-aged women, millennial women, that they believe that there will be a woman president one day. And some of them, most of them Sanders supporters, said, but we are not necessarily convinced it's going to be this woman or has to be this woman. How did Hillary Clinton bring those women into her camp, and how pervasive is that sentiment still?
Yeah, I think one of the key things you have to think about with millennials is that, this is a generation born post-Roe v. Wade, post-civil rights movement, post the AIDS crisis, post so many social movements in this country. We have grown up with friends who are immigrants. We have grown up with friends who are, in gay families. Like, it's just having friends who are of a diverse set, who've grown up with single moms. And so, we might have our economic kind of perspectives maybe varied, but when you come down to the social issues and what we care about and everybody being part of the greater American fabric, we tend to always vote Democrat when we come out. And, when you look at Donald Trump and the things he said about making fun of people with disabilities, making fun of women, making fun of, housing discriminations against people of color, the Central Park 5 case, you're pretty much looking at a guy that doesn't represent the America that you're a part of, and you want to go with somebody like Hillary Clinton, who is advocating and fighting for and being pushed successfully to kind of talk a lot more about those issues.
All right, so in the places of faith, the churches, the synagogues, the mosques, they're turning to faith to help them get out the vote. How religious communities are getting souls to the polls. That's coming out next. Amy, I'm going to come to you first with this Get Out the Vote effort. We have seen and we've discussed at length Donald Trump's Get Out the Vote effort and strategy and infrastructure, and in some states, the lack thereof, versus Hillary Clinton's. How can he bring out these evangelicals? He did well during the primary, right, but how is he going to get them out on Election Day?
Well, we've also heard how, while he may not have that huge infrastructure, the Republican Party's been out there since 2013 with people in the field working leading up to this day. So the Republican Party is doing part of that. And then you've got all these Senate races, too, that are going on in these states. And I think people are motivated because they truly want change. They're not looking for, it's not like they're waiting on somebody to come take them by the hand and take them to the polls. They know what they have to do to go vote. And I mean, you've seen the numbers across the country. The early voting is off the charts, and so I think people are motivated because they truly want change. And I think that's the biggest thing right there, is that they want change, and they know that Hillary Clinton's going to be 4 more years of an Obama administration.
Atima, how much do you think faith plays a role in the choices that are made at the ballot box?
Definitely the African American community pretty strongly. When you have a social justice movement pretty much coming out of the African American church in the 60s and kind of is still sort of a tradition today, you pretty much have faith very much tied to that. So I have friends in North Carolina who are participating in Souls to the Polls events. Early voting, especially going back to 2008 with Obama, has become very, very important for African Americans. It's a good reason to get folks out there pretty early, and using the church to go afterwards and be like, all right, now we are all together, we're going to go to the polls.
And Hillary, Atima makes a good point there, especially in the African American community. Souls to the Polls has been a way to get voters out to the polls, and we know that they've employed President Obama, they've employed Michelle Obama and Jay-Z and Beyonce and Pharrell, but still, even in the context of this conversation, African-American numbers for Hillary Clinton are a bit soft. The enthusiasm numbers are a bit soft.
Well, they're back over the last couple days. And black churches got Hillary Clinton over the hump in the primary with Bernie Sanders, and black churches are going to deliver Hillary Clinton to the presidency in so many ways. The numbers in Florida have rebounded for African-American turnout. It was soft the first few days, but we've seen the last 3 days that has rebounded back to 2012 levels. And we're going to see the same thing in North Carolina as well. Michigan is important, which is why I think you see the principals going there this week to get a little more enthusiasm going. But in the African American community, the churches have been extremely important, and in the Latino community and Catholic churches. Very important also.
I was going to say, it's also important to note that we're comparing this to 2012 levels. African-American turnout was historic in 8 and 12. And if it was lower than, what it was in 6 or 4, then we'd be very concerned. But the fact that we're pretty much holding par to what happened in 12, which was still a historic turnout, is still great for African-Americans and very great for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, Amy, let me ask you about if Donald Trump missed some opportunity in the lead up to Tuesday with the strength he had with evangelicals in the primary. And do you believe he had an opportunity to at least grow or get more than he's getting now in African American support?
I think he has had an opportunity, and he's gone out there and gone into some of these churches and talked to the community. We've seen it over the past couple of months.
But what's been the fruit of that?
I mean, what do you mean what's been the fruit? He's talking about how it's going to change their lives, give them an opportunity that, what has the Democratic Party done for them? And so he's talked about that repeatedly, and he, he's criticized if he doesn't do it, but he's criticized if he does do it. We all know that if you're running for office, what do? You take your case to the voters and you ask them for their vote, and that is exactly what he's done. I don't know what else he can do. The only way we're going to know for sure is for him to be elected.
Well, the question really is about the phrasing of the way he pitched himself.
And let me say this. We know that Donald Trump is not politically correct. That's not how he got where he is. He doesn't, and he's an equal opportunity offender. He says things that, against men, he says it against women. He speaks what is on his mind, and that is something that the American people find refreshing, that he is not spinning all the time.
But that's not his problem in black communities, right?
Yeah.
I applaud Donald Trump for going to communities that Republicans have historically not sought. I think it's good that the GOP is out there. We need more talk about poverty in this country, and we need more talk about opportunity. The problem is that the way he communicates with communities of color shows not just a lack of empathy, but a lack of understanding about the diversity of the community, about the diversity of the issues. It's you can't help if you don't know what's going on.
Okay, 10 seconds, but I know you want to say something.
I was just going to add to that when you're you can have a conservative argument on income inequality and improving education and all of that, but when you're giving a speech like he gave on urban development in North Carolina, but it's a predominantly white audience, even though it's geared toward African Americans, he needs to go where they're at, is the point.
And that's been a theme throughout this election that people have been saying.
All right, everyone.
All right.
Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.